I was shocked when I saw my ex-husband collecting empty cans from the garbage, and then he saw me. For a moment, it felt like the whole world froze. He didn't blink, didn't look away, just stared at me, standing there like he had been caught stealing oxygen from the air itself. I should have walked away. I should have pretended I didn't see him. But my feet refused to move, as if someone had pressed pause on my body, while my heart kept beating like a warning siren inside my chest. His hands were trembling. One hand still inside the trash bin, gripping an empty can so tightly the metal bent under his fingers. The other hand hovered mid-air, like he was half reaching for me, half hiding from me. He looked nothing like the man I once knew. His shirt was dirty, the collar stretched out. His beard had grown in uneven patches, like he'd shaved in a hurry, or maybe not at all. His eyes. God, his eyes. They were hollow, the kind of hollow you don't get from poverty, the kind you get from something darker. And the strangest part? He didn't seem embarrassed. He didn't look away. He didn't even try to explain what he was doing rummaging through garbage in broad daylight. Instead, he smiled. A slow, unsettling, almost relieved smile, as if seeing me like this was something he had been waiting for. Of all the people who could find me, he whispered, his voice cracking. It had to be you. My stomach dropped, not because of his words, but because of the way he said them, like this moment wasn't an accident, like he somehow expected it. Before I could respond, he stepped toward me. Just one step, enough to make me flinch. So, he continued softly, you finally know. Know what? I didn't say it out loud, but I'm sure my face screamed the question. He noticed, of course he noticed. That night, he murmured, you thought you understood everything. My heart froze in mid-beat. What night? How did we jump from garbage cans to that night? A night I had spent years trying to forget, one I had convinced myself never truly mattered anymore. But then, he said something that shattered the air between us. You were never supposed to see the truth, not then. And definitely not now. He dropped the crushed can at his feet. It hit the pavement with a sound too sharp, too loud, too final. And then he looked over my shoulder, at something or someone behind me, his face drained of color, and in a voice barely above a breath, he whispered, don't turn around! The words hit me like a cold blade down my spine. My breath locked inside my throat, as if obeying him was the only thing keeping me alive. I didn't move. Not an inch. His eyes stayed fixed on whatever was behind me, wide, terrified, almost pleading. This wasn't the look of a man embarrassed by being caught digging through trash. This was the look of someone who knew exactly what danger was, and knew it was standing right behind me. Just listen to me for once, he whispered, voice shaking like he was holding it together with his bare hands. Not everything is what you think. A strange, heavy silence settled in the space around us, the kind of silence that doesn't belong in the middle of a public street, the kind of silence that makes you realize something is wrong, deeply wrong. I could feel it, a presence behind me, not touching me, not breathing loud, just there, as if someone was studying the back of my neck, waiting to see how I would react. My pulse hammered so hard, I heard it in my ears. What's behind me? I whispered without turning. His jaw clenched. He shook his head slightly, like giving me that answer would unleash something neither of us could handle. You need to leave, he said with a strained calmness. Walk forward, not fast, not slow, just walk. A bitter laugh slipped from my lips before I could stop it. Leave? After what you just said? After everything you put me through? You think I'm just going to walk away? His face twisted, not in anger, but in pain. Real pain. The kind I'd never seen on him before. This isn't about us, he said. Not anymore. That sentence, it did something to me. It shook something old, something buried. Because for years, everything had always been about us. Our marriage, our breakup, our scars, our silence, our unfinished arguments. And now, suddenly, out of nowhere, he was telling me there was something bigger, something that could scare him, a man who once told me he feared nothing. I swallowed hard. What did you get yourself into? I asked. His lips parted like he was about to explain. Finally, I'd get the truth. The truth he once swore didn't exist. But instead of answers, he said, I can't tell you here, but if you walk away now, if you pretend you never saw me today, it might still not be too late. Too late for what? He didn't say, because in that exact moment, whatever was behind me moved, a faint shift of air, the soft rustle of something brushing the pavement, almost silent, but not silent enough. His eyes widened. He stepped forward instinctively, like he was going to pull me out of the way. Don't! He started, but he was too late. A low, distorted voice whispered right behind my ear, She's already too involved. That voice. It didn't feel human. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that makes your skin tighten, because only something dangerous speaks like that. My whole body locked. I couldn't move even if I wanted to. But my ex-husband, he moved first. He grabbed my wrist and yanked me backward so suddenly I stumbled into his chest. His grip wasn't gentle like the old days. It was desperate, like he was trying to pull me away from the edge of a cliff only he could see. Run! He hissed. But my legs refused to listen. They felt like they had sunk into the pavement. I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, deliberate, as if the person wasn't following, but approaching something they already owned. I forced myself to turn. And when I did, I expected a thug. A stranger. Someone dangerous looking. But it wasn't that. It was a man in a clean black coat. Neat hair, gloves. A face you forget the moment you look away. So perfect in its plainness that it somehow felt wrong. He smiled politely, like we were about to discuss a bank statement and not whatever nightmare I had just walked into. You shouldn't have stopped, he said softly. Your husband tried to warn you. He's my ex-husband, I snapped without thinking. The man tilted his head. And for some reason, that made my stomach twist. Oh? He said, amused. Titles change. Roles don't. That sentence sent a cold wave through my bones. My ex-husband stepped in front of me, blocking the man's path. Leave her out of this, he said, voice low, controlled. Nothing like the broken man digging through trash a few minutes ago. The man in the black coat didn't look impressed. He didn't look surprised. He didn't even blink. She was already in it the moment you chose her, he replied. You know that. I grabbed my ex-husband's arm. Chosen me for what? I demanded. What is going on? What are they talking about? He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. His silence told me everything. Whatever this was, it didn't start today. It didn't start with him collecting cans. It started long before I knew anything was wrong. Come with me, the man said to me, extending a gloved hand like he was offering me a ride instead of whatever this was. My ex-husband stepped closer, shielding me completely. She's not going anywhere with you. The man sighed. Not angrily, not annoyed. More like a teacher disappointed in a stubborn student. You still think you can protect her? He murmured. Even after what happened that night. That night. Again. The night I've been running from for years. The night I never told anyone about. The night he swore never happened. My voice broke as I whispered, What? Do you know about that night? The man's eyes flicked toward me. And with a chilling certainty, he said, I know you weren't supposed to survive it. I know you weren't supposed to survive it. My knees almost buckled. Those words shouldn't have existed. No one knew about that night except me. And him. And even he pretended it didn't happen. Like it was a dream I made up. A trauma hallucination. Some broken memory I clung to. But hearing a stranger, a man in a perfect black coat, say it with absolute certainty, it felt like my soul stepped outside my body. My ex-husband's jaw tightened. Don't, he warned the man. Don't drag her into this. Drag her? The man repeated, almost laughing. She was in it before you were. I felt like my lungs were shrinking. I grabbed my ex-husband's sleeve. Tell me what he means, I demanded. Tell me what happened that night. Tell me why I keep waking up at 3 a.m., hearing things I can't explain. Tell me why I... He shook his head sharply. This isn't the place. I don't care, I snapped. My voice cracked from the pressure building inside me. You've kept me in the dark for years. Look where that got us. A flicker of guilt crossed his face. Not regret. Guilt. It was the first honest emotion I had seen in him in years. The man in the coat watched us with calm curiosity, like he was studying a puzzle. "Do you want the truth?" he asked me gently. It was the softness that scared me. People only soften their voice when the truth is sharp enough to cut you. My mouth opened, but my ex-husband grabbed my face with both hands, forcing me to look at him. "Listen to me," he whispered urgently. His eyes were wild, fear swirling beneath them, deep and real. "I kept the truth from you because knowing it will destroy you. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not being controlling. I'm trying to keep you alive." Alive. As if I was already in danger. As if something had been hunting me long before this moment. I pushed his hands away. Alive from what? He swallowed hard. And for a second, just a second, I saw something in his eyes. Regret, remorse, love, not the love of a husband. The love of someone who knows he failed you in the worst way. Before he could answer, the man in the coat took one step toward us. Instantly, my ex-husband pulled me behind him like a shield. "Don't touch her!" he shouted. "Relax," the man replied. "I won't touch what isn't mine." That word, mine, made something deep inside me twist. "Why are you here?" my ex-husband growled. "To collect what should have been collected years ago," the man said calmly. Then he looked at me, directly, like he was peering inside my ribs. "You feel it, don't you?" he asked softly. "The dreams, the missing hours, the flashes of a memory you keep trying to bury. You think it's trauma." My breath faltered. "How do you know about that?" He smiled faintly. "Because trauma comes from the inside, but what happened to you came from the outside." My ex-husband's hand tightened around mine. "Stop it," he warned. But the man ignored him. Then he said the sentence that shattered everything I thought I knew. "That night, you didn't escape something. Something escaped with you." I didn't hear anything at first. Just my own breathing, shaky and uneven, echoing inside my head. The room felt too quiet, artificially quiet, like someone had pressed mute on the world. Then, a faint rustle. I froze. "Hello?" My voice barely crawled out of my throat. No answer. Only another soft movement, like fabric brushing against something, or someone shifting their weight in the corner. I squinted into the dim light. There was a shape, small, still, sitting exactly where my ex-husband used to sit every morning when he'd lace up his shoes before leaving for work. My chest tightened. It felt impossible, unreal, wrong. I took one slow step forward, then another. My heartbeat pounding so loudly, it felt like it was cracking my ribs from the inside. And then I saw it more clearly. A box. A small cardboard box, taped shut, sitting right in the middle of the floor. But it wasn't the box that terrified me. It was what was written on top of it. My name. My full name. In handwriting I would have recognized anywhere. His handwriting. My mouth went dry instantly. My fingers trembled without touching anything. I knelt slowly, cautiously, as if the box might explode if I moved too fast. It didn't look old. The tape was fresh. The cardboard wasn't dusty, meaning someone had been in my house recently. But how? The doors were locked. The windows were locked. I lived alone. My pulse hit a violent rhythm as 100 questions rushed in all at once. Why would he leave this here? And why now? The last time we spoke? The last time he looked at me? He wasn't in any condition to write anything. My fingers hovered over the box, afraid to touch it, yet desperate to know the truth inside. My ex-husband. The man I found collecting cans behind that dumpster. The man who disappeared without explanation. The man who kept reappearing in my life in impossible, unsettling ways. What was he trying to tell me, or warn me about? I swallowed hard and finally touched the box. It felt warm. Not room temperature warm. Freshly touched, warm. Meaning whoever placed it here had done so minutes ago. My stomach dropped so sharply it felt like falling through the floor. I pressed my ear against the box. Silence. I slid my nail under the tape, hands trembling uncontrollably now, and peeled it back one slow inch at a time. The cardboard opened with a soft rip, and what I saw inside made my entire body jolt backward. Because inside the box, lying on top of a folded piece of paper, was something that should have been impossible, something that should not exist anymore, something that should have been buried, gone, forgotten. And as soon as my eyes fell on it, a cold wave shot through me so violently I couldn't breathe. Because right there, staring back at me, was the exact object that had started everything all those years ago. The thing I thought I had burned, destroyed, erased, the thing he swore he'd never let me see again, the thing that tied him, and me, and the night behind the dumpster, to a truth I was never supposed to uncover. My fingers shook as I reached for it, but just as I touched it, a shadow moved behind me. I wasn't alone in the room anymore, and the voice that whispered my name next made my blood turn to ice. "Don't turn around." The whisper slid across the back of my neck like a cold blade. I froze, completely, helplessly frozen, my hand still hovering over that impossibly familiar object inside the box. My throat locked, because that voice, that whisper, it wasn't a stranger's. It wasn't a threat. It was a voice I knew, too well, too deeply, too painfully, his voice. But that was impossible, completely, utterly impossible. I forced myself to speak, even though my lungs felt like they'd collapsed. "You're not real," I whispered. A faint, bitter laugh drifted behind me. "I didn't want you to find it this way," he said. His tone wasn't angry. It was tired, worn out, like a man who'd been carrying a weight far heavier than anyone ever realized. I swallowed hard, staring at the object in the box, the burned, blackened shape I never thought I'd see again. My voice trembled. "Why are you here? How did you get inside?" Silence. Then, "You left the window latch unlocked." My heart plummeted. Not because I believed him, but because I remembered checking it. Twice. Which meant either, 1, he was lying, or 2, someone else had been in the house before him. Neither option made my pulse calm down. I clenched my fists, still not turning around. "What do you want from me?" A long breath. A painful one. "To explain," he said quietly, "and to give you the thing I should have given you years ago." My skin prickled. Slowly, slowly, I turned my head, every muscle shaking like they were made of paper. And when I finally looked over my shoulder, there was no one there. My heart slammed so hard I stumbled backwards. The room was empty, completely empty. No movement, no shadow, no breath. Nothing. But the air still felt warm from someone standing there seconds ago. I spun around, desperate, panicked, refusing to believe what I was seeing. "Hello!" I shouted. "Where are you?" My voice echoed through the house. No answer. But then, tap, tap, tap. My eyes snapped downward. The sound was coming from inside the box. My blood drained instantly. I forced myself to look inside again. The object, the burned, half-melted piece of metal, was moving, just slightly, tapping against the cardboard as if knocking, like it wanted me to pick it up. My fingers trembled violently. "No, no, no, no," I whispered, backing away. Then the tapping stopped. Silence swallowed the room. And in that silence, I saw the folded paper beneath the object, its edge sticking out just enough to reveal the handwriting on it. His handwriting. 3 words. 3 words that sucked the air out of my lungs. "Don't believe anything." My knees weakened. Anything? Anyone? What was he warning me about? And why now? I reached for the paper with shaking hands, but before I could unfold it, my phone buzzed. A single notification. From an unknown number. And when I lifted the screen, my entire body turned cold. "Do not touch what's in that box. He's lying to you." 2 messages. 2 voices. 2 warnings, each telling me the other one cannot be trusted. But only one of them knows what really happened the night behind the dumpster, and I'm about to find out which one is telling the truth. For a long moment, I couldn't move. The phone vibrated again in my hand. Short, sharp, urgent. A second message from the same unknown number appeared on the screen. Step away from the box. Now. My breath stuttered. The box. The object. The note that said, "Don't believe anything." And now this. I looked around my living room as if the walls themselves might shift or whisper back. My heart pounded against my ribs so hard it hurt. I typed with trembling fingers. "Who are you?" The typing dots appeared instantly. Someone was waiting, watching, ready. Then the reply came. "The only person who's been trying to protect you." A chill slid down my spine. Protect me? From what? Or, from whom? The air felt heavier, like the room was slowly filling with something invisible, but dangerous. I typed again. Protect me from who? From him? My ex-husband? This time, the reply took longer. Longer than it should have if the person was truly panicking for my safety. And when it came, it didn't calm me at all. "You need to leave the house, right now, before he gets back inside." Back inside? My pulse spiked so violently I had to grip the counter to steady myself. I glanced at the window, still locked, still shut. The door. Locked. Every entry point looked untouched. But the voice I heard earlier, the whisper behind me, the warm air in that empty corner. What if... My phone buzzed again. "Don't look for him, just go." But at that exact moment, I noticed something. Something small. Something fragile. Something horrifying. On the floor, barely visible in the low light, trailing from the front doorway to the exact corner where I thought he had stood, were footprints. Not muddy. Not wet. Not dusty. Ash. Soft gray ash, in the shape of bare feet. Like someone had walked straight out of a fire. Or into one. My breath hitched as I crouched closer. The ash wasn't cold. It was warm. My throat tightened painfully. He was here. He was real. And he wasn't gone for long. My phone buzzed again violently 3 times in a row. I lifted it with shaking hands. "Leave the box. Do not touch what's inside. He is not what you think." My stomach twisted. Not what I think. What did that even mean? He was my ex-husband. A man I once loved. A man I thought I knew better than anyone. But now, as I stared at the ash footprints, something inside me shifted. Because the footprints, they didn't end at the corner. They started there, and they led directly to the middle of the room, straight to the box. And then, they vanished. Completely vanished. My breath caught, as if whoever left them appeared out of thin air right next to the box, and then disappeared just as quickly. My phone buzzed one more time. A final message. "If you open the paper inside that box, nothing in your life will ever stay the same again." I looked at the paper. My fingers hovered over it. My heart thundered. Who was lying? Who was telling the truth? And why did it feel like everything I ever believed about my ex-husband was wrong? As I reached for the note again, a faint knock echoed through the house. Not from the door, not from the window, but from directly behind me. 3 slow knocks, on the wall, from inside the wall. Something or someone was inside my house's walls. And when a voice whispered my name from inside the plaster, I realized the truth was far more terrifying than anything I imagined. The knocks echoed so deeply I felt them in my bones. Not loud, not angry, but deliberate, measured. As if whoever, whatever one, was inside the wall knew exactly where I stood. I couldn't breathe. Plaster dust trembled loose from the surface, drifting down in tiny pale flakes. The house suddenly felt smaller, tighter, as though the walls were leaning inward, listening. Then, "I told you not to open the box." The voice came from inside the wall, not muffled, not distorted, clear. Him, my ex-husband's voice, but not the broken voice I heard behind me earlier. Not the tired, worn-out version. This one was stronger, steadier, almost angry. I staggered back, shaking violently. My phone slipped from my hand and clattered on the floor, screen still glowing with the last warning. "Stop talking," I whispered, pressing both hands against my ears like that could shut out the thing inside the wall. But the voice didn't stop. Did you touch it? It asked. A slow scrape followed, like fingers dragging down beams inside the wall. Did you touch what I left for you? My gaze snapped to the box on the table. The burned object, the folded note, the one that said, "Don't believe anything." My chest squeezed painfully. I forced myself to speak. Why are you inside the wall? A beat of silence. Then a whisper, sharp and close. You're looking in the wrong direction. I froze. Wrong direction? Slowly, terrified to find out what he meant, I turned my head to the opposite wall. At first, nothing. Just the faint hum of the kitchen lights. Then, tap. A tiny, delicate tap, like someone lightly flicking the inside of the plaster. Then another. Then another. Tap. 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 I backed away until my spine hit the edge of the table. My heart was racing so fast, it felt like it would rip out of my chest. Stop, I whispered. Please, just stop. The tapping did stop. Completely. Then the voice came again, but softer this time, almost pleading. You were never supposed to see that object again. I destroyed it. I watched it burn. A sharp, furious vibration cut him off. My phone, still on the floor. A new message lit up, from the same unknown number. I didn't touch it. I didn't move. But the screen, face up, glowed brightly enough for me to read every word. Do not listen to him. He is not in the wall. My stomach lurched, violently. Not in the wall? Then who, or what, was speaking to me? Before I could process the message, the knocking returned. Harder, faster, like fists pounding from inside the structure of the house. The lights flickered. The voice grew louder, more frantic. Listen to me! You're not safe! I didn't come back to hurt you! I came back to stop it! The phone buzzed again, another message flashing instantly. Don't let him manipulate you. He's the one who started everything. Check the paper inside the box. I stared at the folded note like it was burning a hole through the air between us. Two voices, two warnings, two completely opposite truths. One telling me not to read it, one telling me to read it immediately. My pulse hammered as I reached for the note with trembling fingers. If I unfolded it, I knew instinctively something irreversible would happen. My thumb slipped under the crease. The house went dead silent. Even the pounding inside the wall stopped mid-strike. And then a single voice, clear as day, came from behind me. Not from the wall, not from the phone, from directly inside the room, whispering my name. I spun around, and what I saw made the truth hit me like a tidal wave. He wasn't in the wall. He wasn't a voice. He wasn't a memory. He was standing right behind me, and he wasn't alone. My heartbeat stopped. Not slowed. Stopped. I felt it. A sudden hollow stillness in my chest, as if sound itself had drowned. It was the kind of silence where the world holds its breath, waiting for you to understand what you were never meant to hear. I stared at the man in the black coat, but his expression didn't change. He wasn't being dramatic. He wasn't threatening me. He was stating a fact, the kind of fact that makes reality bend around you. What do you mean? I whispered. My ex-husband stepped between us again. Don't answer her, he warned. You've said enough. The man raised a brow. She asks, I answer. That's how truth works. No, my ex-husband snapped. That's how you trap people. Trap. The word clawed at my mind. I pulled my arm away from him. No more hiding, I said. Not this time. He turned to me, panic rising in his eyes. Please, just trust me. You don't understand what you're asking for. I exhaled slowly. For years, you've treated me like I'm fragile, like I'm broken, like I'm some puzzle piece you're terrified will fit into the wrong picture. His jaw clenched. You are a puzzle, the man in the coat replied softly. And she's missing the most important piece. My ex-husband whirled around. Shut up. The man didn't even blink. You're angry because you know I'm right. He looked at me again, not at my face, but deeper, like he was staring through me. You've felt it, haven't you? He murmured. The cold drafts in your bedroom, even when all windows are closed. The shadows that don't belong to anything. The sensation that something watches you at night. A shiver prickled across my skin. How do you know that? I whispered. My ex-husband swore under his breath. Because he's the reason. No, the man corrected. I wasn't the reason. I was the response. I blinked. The response to what? He took a slow step forward. My ex-husband blocked him immediately, but the man didn't seem bothered. That night, he continued, you remember running. You remember screaming. You remember falling. But you don't remember what touched you. My breath caught. Touched me. He watched my reaction closely, almost gently. And you don't remember the sound it made when it realized you were different. My ex-husband snarled under his breath. If you say one more word, but he did. He leaned in just slightly, eyes locked on mine. You survived something that should have killed you, and it has followed you ever since. My throat tightened. Followed me? What are you talking about? I haven't seen anything. He tilted his head. Are you sure? Something inside me trembled. A memory flashed a dark corridor, a hand on my ankle, a whisper behind my ear that didn't belong to any living person. No. No, no. I tried to shake it off. The man smiled faintly. You thought the nightmares were just dreams. He took a slow breath. They weren't. I stepped back instinctively, my heel hitting the curb. My ex-husband reached for me. It won't stop now, the man said quietly. You've seen me. It knows you're close to the truth. My voice shook. What knows? The man finally gave the answer in a whisper that froze my blood. The thing that didn't want you to live. The sentence didn't feel like it entered my ears. It felt like it went straight into my bones. My breath stuttered. My fingers went cold. My vision blurred at the edges, like the world itself didn't want me to hear the truth. I forced myself to speak. What thing? What are you talking about? The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he studied me with unsettling curiosity, as if the fear twisting inside me was something he expected, something he'd seen before. My ex-husband tightened his grip on my hand until his knuckles turned white. She doesn't need this, he hissed. She doesn't even remember everything yet. The man smiled, soft and thin. Oh, she remembers enough. My throat closed, because he was right. I did remember things I forced myself to forget, things I locked behind that night, like sealing a dangerous animal behind a door. Flashes, a hallway darker than night, my breath fogging even though it wasn't cold. Footsteps behind me, slow and curious. A whisper that didn't belong to a human throat. A hand, no, not a hand, grabbing my ankle. And then, nothing. Just a blank scream swallowed by silence. I shook my head hard, trying to block the images out. The man watched with quiet satisfaction. You've been pretending, he said. Pretending the nightmares meant nothing. Pretending the waking shadows were tricks of the mind. Pretending the cold spots in your house were drafts. I swallowed painfully. Stop, I whispered. You pretended, he continued gently, that the voice you hear at 3:17 a.m., the one that calls your name, was just your trauma talking. My ex-husband stepped forward so fast, he almost collided with the man. You're upsetting her. She deserves the truth, the man replied. No, my ex-husband said, voice breaking. She deserves safety. Safety. A word that suddenly felt foreign in my mouth. I looked between them two men, one broken, one terrifyingly calm, and realized something horrifying. Both of them knew more about my life than I did. Why didn't you ever tell me? I asked my ex-husband, voice trembling. He looked away, not out of guilt, but out of shame. I tried, he whispered, so many times, but the moment I started, it watched. It listened. It made sure you never believed me. My heart twisted. What do you mean? It watched. The man in the coat stepped closer, not touching me, but close enough that I felt the air shift. You've never been alone since that night, he murmured. A cold ripple crawled up my spine. Where is it now? I asked. He gave a small, almost sympathetic tilt of his head. Closer than you think. My breath hitched. Before I could process what that meant, the streetlight above us flickered. Once, twice. Then it went out completely. Darkness swallowed us. I couldn't see my hands. I couldn't see the man. I couldn't see my ex-husband. But I heard something. A soft, dragging sound. A wet exhale. A whisper. So close to my ear it felt like lips brushing my skin. I never left. The whisper slid into my ear like a blade made of ice. I never left. I froze. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. Because that voice wasn't human. And it wasn't coming from the man or from my ex-husband. It came from behind me. But nothing was behind me. Nothing I could see. My chest tightened, as if invisible fingers had wrapped around my ribs. Don't move, my ex-husband whispered in the dark. I heard him, but I couldn't see him. The man's voice floated calmly through the blackness. It's aware now. You hearing it wakes it up. A pulse of cold air brushed the back of my neck, like breath. I clenched my fists. Light, I stammered. Where's the light? The streetlight above us flickered back on with an electrical snap. My heart dropped. Because the three of us were still standing there, but the space behind me, the space where I had felt breath on my skin, was empty. No footsteps, no shadows, no movement, just empty concrete, as if nothing had been there at all, but something had. My ex-husband stumbled back, gripping his chest. Did it touch you? Did it touch you? I shook my head quickly, too quickly. I don't know. I don't. The man exhaled slowly. Then it's not fully awake yet. Good. Good? Nothing about this was good. My voice shook. You both keep talking like it's a person, like it's something that can follow, or hunt, or choose. The man looked at me with an expression that made my stomach flip. It doesn't follow, he said softly. It attaches. A chill ran through me. My ex-husband grabbed my wrist. You were never supposed to hear it again, he said, voice cracking. That was the whole point of me leaving, of disappearing. My throat tightened. So it's because of me, I whispered. All of this. You losing everything. The ruin. The hiding. He looked down. No, he said. Not because of you. Then he added quietly, because of what wants you. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted answers. What is it? My voice came out like a sob. What happened to me that night? Tell me, please. The man stepped toward me slowly, hands visible, as if approaching someone on the edge of a cliff. You don't remember, he said, because remembering would break you. I felt my breath catch in my throat. But the thing that touched you, the thing that marked you, that night wasn't the first time it saw you. I blinked. What do you mean? He held my gaze. It's been with you since childhood. My entire body went numb. A distant car alarm blared somewhere down the street. A dog barked. Life went on normally, everywhere except here. Since childhood? I repeated. My ex-husband pressed both hands to his face, as if he couldn't bear hearing this again. The man's voice lowered to a whisper. That night didn't create the bond, he said. It revealed it. My knees nearly buckled. What bond? I choked. The man leaned in, eyes locked on mine. The bond between you, and the thing that has been waiting for you your entire life. I stepped back. But something I swear on my soul, something stepped back with me. Same direction, same rhythm, as if it were mirroring me from inside my own shadow. My ex-husband saw it. I saw his eyes widen with horror. Don't move, he whispered again. But the man shook his head slowly. No, he said. She needs to see what's following her now. I felt something shift behind me, a shape, a weight, a presence rising as if peeling itself out of the darkness like wet paper. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Then the man whispered something that froze the entire world around me. It's been waiting for the day you'd remember its name. I didn't want to know its name. Every instinct inside me screamed that a name was an invitation, a door, a key. But the man stepped closer, lowering his voice to a tone that made the hairs on my arms rise. "You feel it, don't you?" he said. "It stands too close, breathes too cold, watches too quietly." I swallowed hard. I did feel it. I felt it like a weight pressing between my shoulder blades, silent but crushing. Like a shadow that wasn't shaped by light, but by intention. My ex-husband gripped the railing beside him, as if he were fighting the urge to drag me away. "Don't tell her anything," he spat through clenched teeth. "You know what happens if she remembers too fast. You saw what happened last time." Last time. The words sank into me like poison. Last time? The man didn't take his eyes off me. She already heard it. It already touched her. Containment is over. My breath stuttered. Containment. Was I contained? Or the thing? I felt movement behind me again, soft, like fabric brushing the air, but too intentional to be wind. My muscles locked, and then a whisper. Not outside, not behind, not around. Inside. My ear. "I'm here!" I gasped and nearly dropped to my knees. But neither man reacted. They hadn't heard it. Only me. The man leaned forward, watching the terror swallow me whole. "There," he murmured. "That's the first stage." I wanted to scream at him. "What is it? Why is it attached to me? What happened when I was a child? What happened that night? Why did you both keep this from me?" But all that came out was a broken whisper. "Tell me its name." My ex-husband's face crumpled. "No," he begged. "You don't understand. If you speak its name, if you even hear its name fully, it will know you're ready. It will come in ways you cannot stop." His voice cracked. "I barely saved you last time." The world tilted. "Last time?" I repeated. My ex-husband wiped a trembling hand across his mouth. "You were 8, he whispered. "You shouldn't have survived." The man cut him off with a sharp look. "No," he said. "She needs the truth. All of it." Beneath the streetlight, his shadow stretched strangely behind him. Longer than it should have. Too long. But not because of the light. Because something else was standing where his shadow ended, merging with it. A second shape. Tall, bent, shifting, watching me. I felt bile flood my throat. My ex-husband turned his head away, unable to look at it. "She's not ready," he whispered. "She wasn't ready then, and she's not ready now." But the man ignored him. His eyes were locked on the thing shadowing me. And then he spoke the words that shattered something inside me. "When you were 8, it marked you." My vision blurred. "Mark?" He nodded slowly. "You disappeared for 6 hours that night. Everyone thought you wandered off. Your memories were scrambled, erased, rearranged." He lowered his voice. "But you didn't wander off." My heart pounded so loudly, it drowned the city. "You were taken." Tears filled my eyes as my legs trembled under me. "No," I whispered. "I would remember. I would." "You remember the wrong version," the man said softly. "You remember the story your mind created to survive." My ex-husband turned toward me, voice thick with grief. "You were found on the side of a dirt road," he said. "Clothes wet, barefoot, eyes wide open, but not seeing." I covered my mouth. The air around me grew heavier, colder, hungrier. "You kept repeating the same thing," my ex-husband whispered. My pulse stopped. What did I say?" Both men looked at me with the same expression. Fear. Not for themselves. For me. My ex-husband swallowed hard. "You kept saying, 'Don't let it find me again.'" A tear slid down my cheek. "You were 8, the man added. "And the thing that took you that night, the thing standing behind you right now, has been waiting for you to remember what happened." My knees buckled. "What happened?" I whispered. "What did it do to me?" The man's voice lowered to a tremble. It didn't take you to hurt you. It took you because it recognized you. It knew you before you were even born. I stared at him, shaking. What are you saying? He exhaled shakily. You were never chosen by accident. A gust of freezing wind blew past us, but not from nature. From it. The man leaned closer, voice barely audible. You're not its victim, he whispered. You're what it's been trying to return to. My heart stopped. Return? To? I croaked. He nodded. You are the one piece of it that got away. He stood only a few feet from me. My ex-husband, but not the version I remembered. Not the exhausted, fragile man I saw rummaging behind a dumpster that night. Not the ghost-like figure whose whisper I heard inside the walls. This version of him. He looked whole. Too whole. His clothes weren't dirty. His face wasn't sunken. His eyes, those eyes that once held so much pain, now stared at me with a sharp, terrifying clarity. And right beside him, a step behind, stood another figure. Identical. Same height, same posture, same eyes. Two of them. My breath shattered in my throat. My mind refused to accept it. But they stood there, one slightly in front of the other. One breathing heavily, chest rising and falling like he'd run miles to get here. And the other, still, too still. The still one stepped forward. I told you not to open the box, he said quietly. His voice matched the one I heard inside the wall. The other man, the breathing, trembling one, shook his head fiercely and stepped between us. Don't listen to him, he said. Please, please, just look at me. You know me. You know me. My legs nearly buckled. Two identical men, two identical voices. Two completely different energies. One desperate, one calm, one pleading like a dying man, one watching me like a predator studying his prey. The calm one tilted his head, almost amused. She doesn't know you anymore, he murmured. A shiver sliced through me. The desperate one flinched. That thing inside the box. It's mine. It belongs to me, not him. The calm one smiled slightly. Liar. My pulse was pure static now. Well, wait, I stammered. What is happening? Who are you both? The desperate one took another step forward. I'm your husband. The calm one's smile widened. No, he said. I'm your husband. My head spun so violently, I had to grab the table to keep from collapsing. One of them was lying. Or, both were telling the truth, in different ways. The calm one glanced at the box, eyes narrowing with irritation. You opened it, he said. That's going to make things messy. The desperate one jerked forward, panic flaring in his voice. Don't let him touch you. Don't let him near that note. He's been controlling everything. He wants you confused. He wants you too scared to see the truth. The calm one chuckled. You really want to play this game in front of her? Shut up! The desperate one snapped, shaking violently now. She deserves to know what you did. My stomach twisted. What he did? The calm one's eyes flicked to me, cold, calculating. As soon as she reads that paper, he said, she'll realize you're not even supposed to exist. The desperate man's face crumpled. That's not true, he whispered. It's not true. I'm real. I'm real. I'm real. I'm real. He pressed his hands over, his ears like a child being tormented by voices. The calm one leaned toward me, voice low, hypnotic. If you want this to end, he said, give me the note. The desperate one's head snapped up, eyes wild. No! If you give it to him, you'll never know what he did. You'll never know why I ended up behind that dumpster that night. You'll never know the real reason he came back. My skin crawled. The calm one extended his hand. The desperate one reached for mine. Two identical hands. Two identical faces. Two completely opposite truths. I felt myself shaking so badly, I could barely hold the folded paper anymore. And in that moment, the desperate one whispered 3 words that shattered everything I thought I knew. I'm the original. One man claims to be my real husband. The other wants the note before I can read it. And the truth inside that paper will finally reveal which one of them isn't human. The words hit me like a physical blow. I'm the original. The desperate man's voice trembled as he said it, not because he was unsure, but because he was terrified of what would happen once the truth came out. The calm one didn't flinch, didn't blink. He only tilted his head with an almost bored expression, like he'd heard that line 1,000 times before. Of course he'd say that, the calm one murmured. His voice was low, patient, practiced. The voice of someone who always gets what he wants. The desperate man grabbed my wrist, his grip shaking but warm. Alive. Look at me, he pleaded. Please. You can feel it. You know me. You know the way I breathe. You know the way I move. He can copy my face, my voice, everything, except what I feel. The calm one took a slow step forward, placing himself between us with spine-straight confidence. You think feelings make someone real? He asked quietly. Emotions can be replicated. Biology can be replicated. He pointed to the shaking man behind him. Desperation can be replicated. My breath stuttered. The desperate one shook his head wildly. He took everything from me. My life, my identity. He made me look like him, then replaced me in my own home, in my own world. A horrifying crackling sound echoed in the room. My eyes darted toward it. And that's when I noticed something I should have seen earlier. The calm one's shadow. It didn't match his movements. When he stepped forward, his shadow lagged half a second behind. Impossible. Wrong. Like a video out of sync with the audio. I swallowed hard, my voice barely audible. What are you? The calm one smiled the kind of smile you only see on someone who already thinks they've won. I'm the improved version. The desperate man flared with anger. No, you're a thief, a copy, a parasite wearing my skin. The calm one didn't even react. He just looked at me again, with that unsettlingly calm confidence. You've always wanted the truth, he said. But the truth is bigger than either of us. It started long before the dumpster, long before the lies, long before he broke. My pulse hammered so hard it hurt. The desperate one stepped in front of me, shielding me with his whole body. You don't get to tell her anything. You don't get to twist the story again. Again? I hadn't missed that word. Stop talking in circles, I choked out. Someone tell me what's going on. What started this? Why are there two of you? The calm one looked at me like I was finally asking the right question. He took one slow, deliberate step toward the table where the box sat. Everything you want to know, he said softly, is in that note. The desperate one's grip on my wrist tightened painfully. Don't read it, he begged. He planted it. He planted the whole thing. He wants to rewrite the past. He wants you on his side. A beat of silence. Then the calm one spoke again. Just one sentence that made the room feel suddenly airless. Ask him why he was at the dumpster that night. The desperate one went still, completely still, and in that frozen second, his eyes flickered. Not in fear, in guilt. My stomach twisted, my heart cracked. There's something he hasn't told you, the calm one said, and that note will show you everything. The desperate one's voice broke. It's not what you think. But I could barely hear him. My mind was spinning, crashing, colliding with possibilities I wasn't ready for. Something about that night, the way he looked at me, the way he disappeared the burned object, all of it. It wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't tragic. It was connected. And as I slowly reached for the folded note, both men moved at the same time. The calm one lunged for the box. The desperate one lunged for me. And the lights exploded into darkness. In the pitch-black room, a single spark lit up, coming from the burned object inside the box. And as it glowed, it illuminated only one of their faces. The wrong one. The room was silent, except for the faint beeping of the heart monitor. Thaddeus lay weak but awake, his eyes following me as I stood by the window, holding the single sheet of paper that had ended everything, and finally explained everything. The original note. Not the forged one. Not the planted one. Not the lie. His real handwriting. His real truth. My hands trembled as I read it again, though I already knew every word by heart. If you are reading this, it means they've chosen me, not you. It means they've already taken everything they can from me. And now the only thing I can give them is the version of me they want, so you can live, so you can breathe, so you can stay human in a world that tried to erase us both. It wasn't a goodbye. It wasn't an excuse. It was a man writing his last truth from inside a cage I never saw. I turned toward him. His eyes were wet, but his voice steady. They wanted a perfect puppet, he whispered. They cloned my identity, my career, my signature, even my face. But they could never clone what mattered. And that's why they tortured the original and replaced me with what they could control. I sat beside him, taking his fragile hand in mine. What about the one who confronted you? I asked quietly. He said he was the original. Thaddeus shook his head. He was the mask they created, the product, the version of me built to obey. My breath caught. So the one I saw at the dumpster, the one starving, that was you. He nodded. I escaped. They destroyed my identity. I lived in the shadows. I watched you from far away, making sure they didn't come after you again. And when they finally stopped watching, my body was already ruined. A quiet sob escaped me, raw and uncontained. All this time, I whispered, I hated you for leaving me, and you were dying to keep me alive. He closed his eyes, letting my words wash over him like forgiveness he never expected. Can you forgive me? He asked. I leaned my forehead against his and exhaled. You don't ask forgiveness from someone whose life you saved, I said softly. You just come home. Outside the window, dawn was rising, the first light after a lifetime of darkness. I stood, reached for the box of evidence, and pressed it firmly against my chest. What will you do? Thaddeus asked weakly. I turned toward him, toward the man who lost everything so I could have a future. I'll finish what you started, I said. No more shadows, no more fear, no more stolen lives. He smiled. A real one, small but alive. And what will you tell them, he whispered, when they ask why you're doing this? I stepped closer, kissed his forehead gently, and finally gave the only answer that ever mattered. Because he saved me first. And that was how our story, the one that began beside a dumpster, with a man collecting cans and a woman frozen in disbelief, finally found its truth. Not in revenge, not in fear, but in the quiet, indestructible strength of a love that never stopped fighting. Sometimes the person you think ruined your life is the one who gave it back to you. If this story touched you, go ahead and give this video a like. It genuinely helps more than you'd imagine. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your feelings in the comments below. Your words always mean more than you know. If you enjoy stories that carry heart, depth, and a touch of truth we often hide from the world, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Because this journey doesn't end here, there's so much more waiting for you. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.